Hey everyone, Gilbert here. Today I'm going to talk about reviews from the web that are found on your Google My Business knowledge panel. So basically you do a brand search, you type in your company name, and you should bring up your knowledge panel. You have a one box here, knowledge panel, and if you go down a little bit, you will see a section called review from the web. Now you don't have direct control over this area because Google will automatically populate these listings, and sometimes it's not there. Sometimes you have one, sometimes you have two, sometimes you have three, depending on how many reviews you have on third-party sites. And these reviews are these scores are going to be different than the score or the review summary here, because these are the ones that you get. These are the reviews that get left directly on your Google listing, whereas these come from reviews that are left on your Facebook page or your Foursquare page or your ZocDoc page, for example. And so what I see often is that people get a lot of reviews on their main Google listing, but they tend to forget about the other third-party sites. And once in a while, you'll see a listing that has, a 4.8, 4.9, a really good score on their Google listing with lots of reviews. And then you'll go down and you'll see someone that has a really poor score on their Facebook page, for example, and they'll have like a 2 out of 5 because they only have a few votes. You'll see that there's 10 votes and 14 votes. So one bad review from somebody can really influence that number a lot. And typically as a user, I'm looking for things that don't make sense, right? So if I see a really great score up top and then I see a 2 out of 10 or 1 out of 5 on these, well, I'm going to click on that and go see, well, why is there a difference? Why is one so good and one so bad, right? So I'm going to, and yes, people understand there's more votes and it's percentage, but not all the time, right? So what you want to do is, since you can't control what gets pulled onto your knowledge panel, is to make sure, first of all, is to search for your own brand, see if anything is getting pulled in. If anything is getting pulled in, definitely visit those sites and see what can you do. Are there reviews that you can try to get removed? Sometimes Yelp will remove listing reviews, or Facebook will remove reviews that aren't supposed to be there, so it bumps up your averages, right? Maybe you need to do a little campaign to try to get more Facebook votes, Foursquare votes, or ZocDoc, kind of the same thing that you would do for your Google My Business listing and reviews, you want to do for this. And you'll notice that Google will usually pull in the websites that rank well. So you'll see I'm not too far down the page, right? Here's the top of the page. I go down a little bit, and then we have Facebook, and then we have health grades that sometimes gets pulled in. We also have ZocDoc right here, and we have Foursquare right below it. So Google is going to be using strong sites that are talking about your brand. So even if you don't have a reviews from the web section, what you can do is look at the first page and see, are there any other sites that do have reviews or potentially have reviews? Because let's say none of them have reviews on it, and you have a Facebook page that has 0 reviews, and one guy, boof, leaves you a really bad score, and that gets pulled in, right? So check out the first page of a branded search and see if there's anything that makes sense. Now you can always look at competitors to see what is getting pulled in for them, to give you a better idea of what sites might get pulled in. In this case, a lot of reviews from the web get pulled in from medical and doctors and things like that. So I'm going to show you some restaurant listings that have same thing. Facebook, they have Restaurant G, Yellow Pages, and then this is another restaurant that has a Talk, an Open Table, and you'll see the same thing. If I search for Talk, you'll see Talk not too far down. So again, it's the same exact thing. If I do Open Table, you'll see that on the on the front page, on the first page of Google for your brand. So those are getting pulled into your listing. Very important to pay attention to that. Now you can see, this has 3 reviews and this has 2,000 reviews. Now, if this one gets a 1 bad review, it's going to drop this score. You don't want that to happen. Obviously, it's a big difference in the number of reviews, but pay attention to those kind of things. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, which is not really reviews from the web, there's no name for this section really, but there's other things that get pulled automatically into your listing sometimes, especially in restaurants. And you'll see here there's these two tabs here. It says attire and signature dish. Now again, they're not sectioned off with a name, but if I open that up, you'll see that this information is getting pulled from a third-party website, Forbes Travel, right? And it has some information there. Same thing with signature dish, the New York Times. But you'll see that this doesn't really make sense. What year is it? It's 2021, right? This is an article that was written 10 years ago, and they're putting it, Google's putting it on the knowledge panel. Does the restaurant even make this dish anymore, right? Pay attention to your knowledge panel and what information is getting pulled into there, because you never know what is coming in from third-party sites. And the other thing to remember is that if Google is taking that information and thinking it's important enough to put on your knowledge panel, then obviously it has some ranking value, right? So if you go down to your reviews from the web, there's some ranking value to getting more reviews from Talk and from OpenTable, right? Because Google's saying, hey, these sites are important, and the more interactivity you have on these sites, the more clicks coming from those sites to the GMB and to the list. All that stuff is going to have some value because Google is telling you, we think this is important for that brand. And the same thing for this restaurant is they have more dress code getting pulled in from Forbes again. So that's the second one from Forbes. We have history. This is coming straight from their website. Not a problem. You can control that. Same thing for the owner. And we have a cancellation fee, which is from another third-party site. Is this cancellation fee even correct? How old is it? It doesn't tell me. I would have to click on it and see where it's coming from. So pay attention to your knowledge panel and the third-party sites that Google is pulling in information from. Now, typically, you'll see reviews from the web, and you won't see these extra accordion tabs, but sometimes they're there, so pay attention. That's pretty much it for today. If you need help with your listing, give me a shout, and we can take a look. Otherwise, just like and subscribe and do all that stuff, and so that way you get your notifications and keep up to date on Google My Business.